So this exactly is an actual human brain taken from a patient from the Nimhans Institute. And here what you can see is like all grey and black stuff because it's very old obviously. But we'll get into the brain part slowly. So for instance, what you see here, we call this the frontal lobe of the brain. Okay. So right now your ages must be, I'm assuming, somewhere between 11 to 15, right? So right now you're obviously making the worst decisions of your life. Your parents are making most of the decisions. But there is a very good reason for that, why that is happening. That's because the frontal lobe of your brain is not fully developed yet. As you age, this frontal lobe becomes bigger and bigger, which is why always let your parents make your decisions up until you become a parent yourself or you're old enough. But the frontal lobe is not the only thing. There are other parts of the brain also. For instance, you have the cerebellum. The cerebellum is what takes care of all your motor activities. So when you say people get a stroke, right? They start to twitch like that. Their mouth drops like that to the side. That's because blood loss or some sort of injury has happened to in primarily this region, which is why your motor control is gone. So any activity that involves walking or even the simplest things such as buttoning your shirt is all mostly controlled by this. The moment you lose control over this, you're completely gone. You can't even move your fingers or count numbers on your fingers like that. But then there's another thing that makes us very special. So let's know, when was the last time you cried or got angry? Have you ever wondered where that is coming from? That is all orchestrated by this lumpy mass here only. But that region that is orchestrating the emotions is deep inside. Why? That is because the older regions of the brain are deep inside the head, which means when our ancestors, that is the monkeys and the chimps, the non-human primates, they were the ones who originally had this brain, right? We are their descendants in a way to speak. So as and when time developed, we had started living in much larger groups. Now you're in groups of 4, 5, 6. We live in societies right now. But to take care of that, this region called the cortex developed. The cortex is the outermost region. And inside you have something known as the thalamus. For you to show you the thalamus, I'll have to split this brain apart. That will get very messy. You don't want to look inside. Yeah, you will not be able to have lunch if you look inside. It is very messy right now. But let me guarantee you, the inside parts take care of your most basal things. By basal, I mean your most basic things like hunger, when you want to feel like you want to go to the toilet, or say when you're scared, when you're shivering, all of that is taken care of by that. All the higher order thinking, when you're saying you're doing maths or you're doing some creative thing like drawing, that is taken care of by this outside region. And the outside region is divided into different regions like this. You can take one of these if you want. So you can later go ahead and you can Google each of these names which are written in this. Each of them have a specific function for it. Earlier what people used to do is they would literally take a spoon and just say scoop one region of the brain out. And then they would see what would cause a fault. So let's say I scoop the sensory cortex out. Then after that you would not be able to feel heat on your skin. Something as simple as that. All of this is made possible because the brain is there. The brain lets you actually perceive the world, right? And here we have different sections of the brain. I have chopped this brain up into thin slices. How you have an onion and you chop it into thin slices. I've done the same with the brain here. And this here, you see a different coloration here, right? Little bits are white, little bits are pinkish. So the brain, the signals are communicated by electricity. Okay, and this electricity can obviously diffuse out. So how we have electrical wires and they have insulation over them, same way the brain also has neurons, and those neurons have insulation over them, so the electricity doesn't diffuse over time. So this white bit is basically nothing. It's called a fat called myelin that is covering the neurons, and that helps the electricity to conduct so that you can happily eat your favorite ice cream. If let's say the electricity diffused, by the time you tried to pick up the ice cream itself, you would have forgotten why you were trying to and what you were trying to pick up. So the brain keeps control of everything in your body. And do you guys know the famous scientist Stephen Hawking?
Yeah.
So Stephen Hawking had an injury here in this part. It's called the substantia nigra. You don't have to remember the name, but this is the region that he lost control over. And there was a time when he couldn't even control his breathing muscles. Once you can't control your breathing muscles, you will obviously die. So yeah, you can have one of these. You can pick up one of these each if you want.
This is a reversible reactor.
And I'll go ahead to the other guys. Okay. Thank you for coming. Yeah, you can have one of these.